Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am talking all about the new release from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm Face Palette. This comes in only one shade. I do wish she released more shades so more skin tones have the option to get this palette, but she did release it in one universal shade. It contains all these colors right here, and this is that baked gelée formula that I am obsessed with. So a baked gelée formula is different than a regular powder formula because they actually start out as creams and then they are baked down until they are dry. So the beautiful thing about these products, and if you have never used a baked gelée formula, is that they apply like a cream product would, but they're so much easier to use than a cream. They are definitely less pigmented than a cream though, so you have to go in with a bit of a heavier hand, but the beautiful thing about this formula is that it really retains that skin-like texture, and these never look like a powder on the skin. They just meld in beautifully to the skin, and it's just such a gorgeous formula. I just love a baked gelée, so I was so happy to see that she released this palette in that formula. So these are the 4 shades swatch. So we have the Super Glow, which is the highlighting powder. We have the Multi Glow, which is the blush. The Super Sculpt, which is that deeper contour shade. And then the Soft Sculpt, which is that lighter cool tone shade. Soft Sculpt is definitely the most cool tone and is very light. The Super Sculpt, I don't think it's overly cool, but it's definitely a more neutral tone bronzer. But I think you can still use it as a bronzer. For me, I do not like to contour, so I did use this as a bronzer. These are also powders that you can use on your eyes and your cheeks. So I showed you how I use this on my eyes and my cheeks. I'm also doing a full face of Charlotte Tilbury using my favorite products. So this palette is a nude makeup palette with sculpting and glowing shades to beautify your cheeks and eyes for a sun-kissed, runway-ready super glow. And this was 95 Canadian dollars, so that's pretty typical with all her face palettes, and for me it was definitely worth the price. I think the packaging is beautiful. It feels very luxe. It's quite weighted. You have this beautiful gold trim on the outside. It's just that it looks like such a luxe palette. I think this is very sophisticated as well. It's just beautiful. She has the most elegant packaging. The mirror is a good quality mirror. Just a beautiful palette in how it looks all around. Obviously that's not the most important thing, but I think that is an important factor when you are paying so much for luxury makeup. But if you want to see how I got this eye and face look using this palette, as well as a full face of Charlotte Tilbury, just stay tuned. But before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and let's just get straight into the look and review. So I've already gone ahead and primed my eyes, and I thought that I would use this beautiful palette on my eyes as well as my face just to get a full look and show how versatile these types of palettes can be. I think the look that I'm going to create is going to be very much an everyday look, so I'm going to remove this little plastic mirror. These shades are beautiful, very much neutral. I guess Nudegasm is like the perfect name for it. It's kind of a silly name, but that's okay. So I'm going to dip into this cooler tone shade here, which is the Super Sculpt shade. No, sorry, that is the Soft Sculpt shade. And I'm just going to pick up a Wayne Goss 18 brush. Now, this brush is great to use for these types of baked gelée products because it's quite dense. So it's going to pick up a product that's that baked texture that's a little harder to pick up on a brush. And for this, I'm going to apply this all over the lid. And I'm just going to bring it into the crease as well. So really easy breezy. I'm gonna go in with a few layers to build up that color because I want the lid to kind of come off as like a taupe shade. It's definitely a very light, cool tone shade though. So I think this would work well for you on your face if you have fair skin and definitely a cool undertone. All right, so I'm kind of just using this as a base because to be honest, it's not creating that much depth on my eyes. It's just a bit deeper than my skin tone, but it is still really nice. And I'm also going to pick up this on just the tip of this brush, and I'm going to run that along the lower lash line as well, starting at the outer corner, meeting it up with that outer corner on the outer lid, and then sweeping it inwards as well, just to add a bit of color on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to dip into the Super Sculpt shade, so this deeper bronze shade. It's definitely still leaning more on the cool side as well, and I'm going to pick up, again, I'm going to go in with a decent amount of product, really dipping my brush in here because again, this is that baked gelée formula that you need to go in a bit harder with to pick up more product just because the texture of this, it is really like hard pressed in the pan. So to get that definition, you just need to be a little more heavy-handed, which is fine by me. And then I am going to use this as a transition shade. So I'm just sweeping it on that outer corner. And then I'm going to bring it into the crease as well. Yeah, that definitely shows up a lot more than the previous shades. Yeah, that's actually really nice. I probably didn't need to go in as heavy-handed as I did because this shade is a bit darker than what I thought it would be, but I mean, these are ridiculously easy to blend. They basically blend themselves. They're so smooth and creamy. And then for the lid, I am going to take the lightest shade, which is the Super Glow, so that beautiful highlight shade. I'm going to take it on a Sonia G Builder 2 brush, which is just a flat shader brush. And I'm going to apply it all over the lid. Now this is gorgeous. It's that very smooth, soft sheen. There's no glitter chunks at all, and it looks just gorgeous on the eyes. So love that. And then I'm just going to pick up a bit more on my fingertips just to get a bit more intensity and really press it onto the lid because, again, these formulas are very buildable. So you can work in layers to get a more intense look. And then I will finish off the lower lash line once I go in with concealer and everything. So I am just going to go in with my mascara. For my mascara today, I'm going to start off with a base of the Dior Maximizer 3D. And then I'm going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Push-Up Lashes, which is a great lengthening. Not as volumizing as like my Pat McGrath mascara, but it's a really nice lengthening mascara that's very buildable. So I'm going to go in with that, and then I'll be back to work on the face. Let's quickly talk about how this palette worked on the eyes. So I think this worked beautifully. There is literally no fallout, which is amazing. Again, usually when you have a baked jelly formula, the fallout is very minimal because it's not a very powdery formula, so you're not going to have powder falling all over the place. It's not overly pigmented, so these are very buildable products. And I just love how soft and subtle this looks on the eye. It is not overdone in any way. It just looks very light and beautiful. So this would be a great everyday look. So I'm going to move on to the face. My favorite Charlotte Tilbury concealer is this is the Magic Corrector. I don't even think the name's on it. And I have mine in the shade 2. I could probably use the shade 1 as well. This is a little deeper, but I like just using this as a concealer on its own. So I just go in with a little bit of product and I just press it where I am dark. Now, I don't have a lot of dark circles. I have a little bit of darkness, so for me, I can just get away with using this as a concealer and not going over top with something else. If you do have more, if you have more dark under eye circles that are quite intense, you might want to use this as a base and then go over top with a concealer just to add additional coverage. But for me, this is enough. And then I am going to cheat just a little bit and go in with the Dior Skin Correct. And I am just going to apply it here. Now I am doing this with this product just because I can get a very precise line. With this, if I use my fingertips, it's not going to be precise enough. I could use a brush, but I don't have one with me that will work for this step. So I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to blend it out with my Beauty Blender sponge. My favorite Charlotte Tilbury foundation is the Light Wonder Youth Boosting Perfect Skin Foundation that I wear in the shade 6 Medium. So this one is definitely my favorite out of all the foundations that she carries just because it is a light to medium coverage. I definitely wouldn't build it past medium coverage. It's supposed to be that lightweight kind of dewy, fresh sort of skin look. But the only issue I have with this is if you apply even a bit too much product, I find that it can look a little heavy on my skin. So I have to be careful with the amount of product I apply. And I was going to show you a trick for this because I also don't tend to reach for this foundation very often. I'll use it on like days where I'm running errands or I'm not wearing makeup for a really long time, just because again, it is so lightweight on the skin and it looks very much like a no makeup sort of look. It's very fresh looking, but it's not the longest wearing foundation. So to increase its longevity, what I do is I apply like, I don't know, a pea-sized amount just on the palm of my hand. And then I'll go in with my Dior Air Flash, give this a shake, and then I will just spray just one spray of that foundation. And I just find this helps sort of mattify or give this more of a skin-like texture versus being super dewy. And this also helps the longevity of this foundation so that I can wear it all day long without having to worry about it. So I'm just going to mix these two together and then apply that on my skin with my Beauty Blender. All right, so just going over the skin now. And like I said, this will add just a tiny bit more coverage to the Light Wonder foundation. And because the Light Wonder is so dewy, this makes it a little more of a skin-like finish versus being overly dewy. And I just think it looks a little nicer on the skin when I mix the two. Obviously, you don't have to, but I have the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder, and it's just not my favorite to use on its own. So I like to get used to my products, and if I'm going to use this foundation more, when mixing it with another foundation, then I am going to do that. So obviously, you don't have to do that, but, and I guess that is kind of cheating. That doesn't make this a full face of Charlotte Tilbury, but I just love how this looks. I think it looks so beautiful, so skin-like. You still get that skin-like texture. It's not too heavy or anything like that, but it's just very beautiful. Moving back onto the eyes, I'm just going to finish off the lower lash line quickly. I'm going to go back into Super Glow on a MAC 228 brush, and I'm going to apply this on the very inside corner of my eye. I don't bring it in the tear duct just because I don't like how that looks on me personally, and then I am going to bring a little bit of this just down the center of my lid and bring it to the center of my crease, just to kind of create that wide awake effect, and then I'm going to reciprocate on the other eye. And then for the actual lower lash line, I'm going to take Super Sculpt, that deeper bronze shade, and I am just going to pick that up and sweep that from the outside corner, and I'm going to bring it all the way across today, and then again, make sure to connect. All right, finally moving on to the fun part where I'm going to play with this on my face. So I think I'm going to forego using this. I am going to forego using it because I think it would work as a contour on my skin tone, but I am like pretty thin and I have a thin face. So if I contour, I literally look like I am dying. So I don't think I will use this as a contour. It will just make me look like I'm actually a dead person walking among the living. So that's just a no for me. So I'm going to forego that, and I'm going to go straight into the bronzer, which is this deeper shade. Again, I think this is supposed to be more of a contour, but I just can't contour. It just looks too odd on me. So I'm going to use this as a bronzer, and I have used this before, so I know that I really enjoy it as a bronzer. It's not too cool toned where you can't use it as a bronzer. So I'm going to go in with my Refer 22 brush, tap off that excess, and just go in. Now I love these formulas because, again, they're so creamy and blendable on the skin. They apply like a cream product would. They're so buildable as well. And you need to really, if you've never worked with a big jelly formula, initially you might not like it because you will think they're very sheer. But the beautiful thing about them is that they are so skin-like and that they are so buildable. So once you build enough color, you do see that definition on your skin and you get that kind of bronzed effect, but you're just going to have to go in with a bit more product than you're used to with a powder formula. And I like these formulas better than a powder bronzer because, again, they look so skin-like and just so creamy on the skin. You look like you're wearing basically a cream bronzer. It's easier to use than a cream product because it's not as pigmented as a cream would be, but it looks just as skin-like as a cream product would. And I don't tend to like cream products because I think they're a little finicky to use. You have to be very careful. You have to have a very good application with cream products. They can look overdone sometimes. They can look not very greatly applied if you don't know how to apply cream products or if you don't know how to blend them properly. They can just look a little insane on the skin. So I just love a big jelly formula because you get that creamy look on your skin, but it's so much easier to use. This is something I would definitely recommend to a beginner, or if you are heavier handed with your products, this would be a great option as well. And I'm just going to build this up a little bit so that you can see the effect. See, again, I think this works as a bronzer on my skin. It doesn't look too cool toned. So I am very happy with that. Yeah, so I think that looks beautiful. It gives me enough color. It's not too light on my skin tone. It's not too dark. I think it just looks so beautiful on the skin. I love how these products sink into the skin. But enough about that formula. I'm going to move on to the Super Glow shade, which is a beautiful kind of golden champagne shade that I think would work best for like light to medium skin tones, maybe medium dark. And again, going to blend this onto the skin. And again, I love a Big Chalet powder highlight as well because they're not too intense. They just give you a very much lit from within glow. They make you look like you are just healthy. Again, you get that cream effect without having to use a cream product, and they are very buildable. So again, it goes on very sheer, but you can build it up to get a bit more intensity. And the great thing about these big gelées as well is as you blend them into the skin, they become even more creamier and really just, oh, they just meld into the skin like a second skin. It is so great. I just love these formulas, and this shade is perfect. Again, it's not too intense. There's no glitter. It's not emphasizing or enhancing any texture on my skin. Just beautiful. And now I am going to move to the blush. And I will admit, a blush with a sheen is not my favorite. I tend to like either something that has a very, very soft sheen that's basically not noticeable, or I prefer matte blushes just because the texture that I have on my skin tends to be in this area, and I just think that a shimmer can enhance your pore area and emphasize texture. So this is the one product I was a little unsure about, but it doesn't look as shimmery as the blush that was in the Nudegasm palette. So taking this, it's a nice color. I'm going to start off small, tap off that excess, and apply it onto the skin. Now, I actually don't think that this is too glowy, which is great. I do think if you have a lot of texture in this area, you're going to just want to go down. You're going to want to go in with a powder afterwards just to kind of taper down that glow in the front of your cheeks, but it's really pretty. So it does look really pretty on the skin. I definitely see that sheen in this area though. I almost don't think that you would need a highlighter if you just use this blush. I think this would work really great as a blush topper too. For me personally, this is a blush that I would use maybe if I was going out to dinner where the lighting would be a bit more dim, just because I think this is gorgeous on the cheeks. It looks really pretty, gives me a healthy glow, but it just has a little bit too much shimmer for what I prefer. So again, the color is beautiful, and I think this would be a great blush topper, but that's just my personal preference. I forgot to add a little bit of the highlight to my Cupid's bow, so I'm just going to take a little bit of product and add that to my Cupid's bow, and then take the excess just down the center of my nose. And for that, I use a Wayne Goss 17 brush because it's more precise. And then because I do feel like this blush emphasized texture just in the front of my face here, I am going to go in with a powder. So I'm going to take my Sonia G, this is the Face Pro brush, and I'm just going to dip into my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish, and I am going to use that to taper down the sheen in the front of my face. So what I do if I feel like a blush has kind of emphasized the texture just in that area, and usually I don't apply powder onto my skin, basically like I only apply it halfway throughout my day. But because this is emphasizing my texture in the front and it's just a little bit too much of a sheen for me, I'm just going to press that product over that area to dull it down. And because this is such a pore blurring powder, it really corrects that basically. And then I'm just going to run that excess powder over my nose. Okay, that definitely helped taper down how shimmery it was and how it was emphasizing my texture. Now I feel like it is not emphasizing that texture, but I still get that beautiful sheen from that blush. It's very pretty. To finish off this look, I'm just going to take my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk liner. You know this is a favorite. I use it almost in every video, and look how small the pencil is getting. I need to order another one. So I'm going to line and fill in. For lipstick, I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Dance Floor Princess, which is a beautiful nude pink. I haven't used a straight up lipstick in so long. I've just been using like a lip gloss or my Rouge Coco Flashes. And then for my lip gloss, I'm just going to take a tiny bit of this is the Collagen Lip Bath in Peachy Plump, and I'm just going to apply this to the center of my lips. And then again, with all my lip products, I kind of just like to blend that in, tap that all in so that nothing is sitting on top of my lips. And it doesn't look too heavy or anything like that. I just like my lips to look a little more natural. All right, and this is the final look. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to get into my final thoughts. So I decided not to do a first impression with this palette, just because when purchasing these more expensive luxury makeup products, I want to get use out of them and really give you kind of more of a review on these products to see if I think it's worth it. Because sometimes if you just use a product on initial application, you can really love it, but then you never reach for it again. So I've used this for 3 days in a row now. This was my 4th time using it, and I really, really love this palette. Previously, I loved what's this called? The Nudegasm palette. You can see I have gotten a lot of use out of it, but I never touched these blushes. These blushes in here are way more luminous than the one that's in here. I still wish this wasn't as luminous as it was, because for me, I have to, like, I would only use this as a blush topper, or I have to powder down my face after I apply this because it does emphasize texture. It has a bit more shimmer than just sheen would. I don't want to say there's no glitter chunks in it, but there is a little bit of shimmer, and for me that just emphasizes my texture. So again, it's not the worst blush. I love the color of it, but for me, I will just get more use out of it as a blush topper versus just using it as a blush on its own. But I love this highlight. This is my perfect highlight shade. It's a beautiful champagne soft gold shade. Looks so creamy and skin-like. It just melts into the skin beautifully. Not overly pigmented, but you can build it up. And I actually really love this bronzer shade. I usually normally like a more warmer tone bronzer just for my skin tone, my hair color. Personally, I think it works better with me. But I actually have been loving how this looks on the skin. I think it looks so natural and so beautiful. It's not too cool tone to use as a bronzer. And for me, like I said, I don't like contouring because it just makes me look dead. But I love that I can use this as a bronzer, and I think it's absolutely stunning. It looks really great. Now for me, I will not get use out of this product as well on my face just because I don't tend to contour. Maybe if I were to contour my nose or something, I could use this product. Or if I really want to like sculpt just right here, but I just tend to not want to do that because again, my face is already quite slim. It just doesn't look that great on me personally, but if you love to contour, I think this shade would work really well. I love that I can use this on my eyes as well. I think this look is so beautiful. It is so soft. It is so sophisticated. You could wear this to work and feel confident. You could wear this on a date night and feel confident. This is great any occasion makeup, and it just looks so soft and beautiful. It's not overdone in any way. Again, no, it's not glittery. It's so easy to blend. There is no fallout on the eyes either. So I think I am going to use this palette when I go traveling as well because I can just use this on the eyes and my face. And I would just bring a separate blush because this isn't the blush that I would love to use on a daily basis. But again, if I was going on vacation and I knew that I was going to go out for dinner in that dim light setting, this would look great in that dim light setting because you can't really see that sheen on the skin. But I love this palette. I think it is definitely worth the investment for me, even though I will only get use out of mostly these three products. Again, this as an eyeshadow. I'll also use this as an eyeshadow and a bronzer, this as an eyeshadow and a bronzer. I guess I could blend this into the crease as well, but I just probably won't use that one as much. But even still, this is still worth it for me. I just absolutely adore this formula. Big Gilets are my absolute favorite. They're beautiful. And I think that if you wanted to maybe, like, you could wear this during the daytime for work, and then if you have an event later on, or if you're going out for dinner or something after work, you can just go in with a single eyeshadow, like say the Chantecaille Lion, take that on your fingertips and press it over top, and then you take your look from day to night, and it's just so easy. These products are also really easy to touch up with because, again, they're not a powder formula, so they're not going to add texture if you reapply product later on throughout the day. They just are very skin-like and beautiful. And I feel like I have just raved so much about this palette, but I think you are going to see me talk about this a lot more. I am pretty sure this is going to become a favorite of 2021 in the end of the year when I talk about all my favorite products. I am just extremely happy with this palette. So far, I mean, I've only been using it for a few days now, but so far it has surpassed how much I love the Glowgasm face palette or the Lovegasm, just because I only use these two shades. And I think this one suits my skin tone a bit more. This one's just a little deeper. Still beautiful. I still love it, but I think this one is going to replace that as a number one. This is my favorite bronzer that Charlotte Tilbury has released and my favorite highlighter. So pretty. I just love it. So anyways, I have just gone on such a ramble, so I hope that information was helpful. I hope it wasn't too much information. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this look. Let me know down below if you plan on picking anything up from this collection. I think it looks really beautiful. I just have been gravitating more towards using a lip liner and lip gloss, so I decided not to pick up the lipsticks just because that's not really my vibe right now. But anyways, let me know if you plan on picking anything up. Let me know what you thought of this look. Leave your comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video.